Welcome back to the David Pakman Show.
Welcome to the bonus show.
Welcome.
We have another breakthrough in batteries. This is a little bit different than the previous battery I told you about because it's a lot more similar to our current batteries. But scientists at Nanyang Technology University have developed this battery, and they claim that it can be recharged up to 70% in only 2 minutes, and that these batteries also have a much longer lifespan than our current batteries. The lifespan, they say, can be up to 20 years. So here is another piece of technology that can completely change everything, really. I mean, I think the most important, the most practical use here would be for cell phones and things like that, but also car batteries, of course.
Yeah, I think sometimes people don't, when we think about technology, we have the capacity right now to really shrink down pretty significant and advanced technologies into portable devices, and the cell phone is a really good example of that. But as many people know, with most mobile devices, after 6 months, after 9 months, after 12 months, the battery life of the device is reduced significantly. And we are being limited right now in terms of the practical advancement of technology, not the theoretical, right? We know how to make a lot of really interesting and advanced stuff, but the practical advancement by battery life, and this could be a really big thing.
Could be huge. To touch on how this battery is different, in the new battery, the traditional graphite used for the anode in the lithium-ion batteries is replaced with a gel material made from titanium dioxide, which I guess is relatively cheap and easy to obtain. Of course, there's some nanotechnology here in play. So, you do need to have the proper equipment to manufacture these, but could be a big fucking deal, to quote Joe Biden.
BFD.
Is that a thing people say? BFD?
It's not. The only person who I've actually seen use it in just casual emailing is Tom Hartman's wife. When, I do work with Tom Hartman and his show, and sometimes there will be something that comes up and she will just say, we've got to be aware of this. This is a BFD. And only after seeing it a couple times did I realize what it was she was referring to.
I like it. Frost and Sullivan predicts that the rechargeable lithium-ion battery global market, is going to be worth about $23.4 billion in 2016. That is pretty impressive.
Indeed.
Of course, they are totally ubiquitous and in everything. But something needs to happen. We need it. We need a change. Maybe this is it. Or maybe we'll never hear about this again. One of the two. Here's a story about AMC canceling almost all of their unscripted shows. This includes shows that had not yet made it to production, but were planned, that were also unscripted. And what they are doing is essentially, their statement was basically along the lines of, shows like The Walking Dead and Breaking Bad and Mad Men have made us a very popular network, and we need to go back to that. We need to stick to that type of storytelling. And I don't know. I mean, I'm kind of neutral on this. I mean, I think an unscripted show could be just as successful.
Yeah, I have a lot of thoughts on this. I sent this story to Lewis and said it might be a good bonus show story. I get that not everybody cares about TV, and to a great extent, I don't care about TV. I've basically stopped watching TV in terms of turning on my TV and watching a particular show, with the exception of live sports when there's a sporting event I care about, and cable and network news I've basically stopped watching. As a consumer, I'm of course watching it in our studio in clips as a kind of critique for purposes of the show. But I, every once in a while, will see a friend will be into one of these reality type shows. And at first I'll watch it and I'll say, okay, I guess this is a reality show. And then something will happen that will really make me question whether it's a staged show. And as we know, Lewis, you and I have a friend who was in a reality show, and he told us it's not so much that things are staged, but you're deliberately put in situations in which producers think things will happen. And to me, that's not particularly deceptive. But I start looking into some of these reality type shows, and they're completely staged. I mean, we're talking about actors, and just because the show is being filmed in a reality type format and the way the cameras are held and that type of thing does not mean it's a real show. So that annoys me. And at the same time, I think that in the last 8 years, there have been so many great TV shows that really are at the caliber of what you would see historically in film, right? Shows like Breaking Bad and Mad Men, etc. And AMC, by the way, Mad Men and some of these other shows, they know how to do that type of show. And I like this. I mean, if you care about TV and if you care about these types of shows, I think that we should be cheering AMC going in the direction of something more like Mad Men than these reality type pseudo-staged shows.
Agreed. Now, I'm not going to watch AMC. I didn't even watch Breaking Bad until it was on Netflix.
Right. Neither did I. Yeah. I mean, when I started watching it, there were 4 or 5 episodes left in the entire series to be airing on AMC.
Right. Now, I mean, I'm sure when you buy a Mad Men DVD or when you're watching it on Netflix, you know that AMC has been paid in one way or another. But it doesn't matter how good a show, a network shows are. I mean, I'm never going to get it. So I don't know, I don't know. But anyway, I like where they're going with this. And if we can get more shows like Breaking Bad out of this, boy, that would be incredible.
Yeah.
All right, here's an interesting story about what scientists are calling infidelity radar. And they did a study that led them to believe that we have in us a method of being able to tell if someone is unfaithful, if someone is cheating on someone else.
And is this when you're in a relationship with the person you're trying to determine if they're cheating or not, or just in general, like if you're even just talking to a friend who's not in a relationship with you?
No. What they did was they had people observe couples and the way those couples interacted. And they found that that the people were basically able to tell based on what those people had written down before, with a much higher rate than just chance, whether or not they were faithful to each other. And that's pretty much the gist of it. But I feel like if you are in the relationship where this is, where this might be an issue, if you are one of those people in the couple, I think people just some people always think the other person is cheating on them. But I think a lot of people, even if they might suspect it, they just kind of put it out of their minds because you don't want to believe it, right?
Well, I don't know. There's so many different personality types. I mean, certainly there are people who tend to be more paranoid and or jealous as a result of their personal insecurities, and that would lead to a different assessment about how likely it is that they believe they're being cheated on. You have other people who are not necessarily paranoid or insecure, but may have specific reasons to think that they're being cheated on that makes sense. But you're right, Lewis, they may choose to simply ignore that because they'd rather just not know and just pretend that everything's fine. I don't know that we can make any kind of generalized assessment about this.
No, it is an interesting study. Everyone can look it up. I guess it was, like I said, the results were that people were able to predict who was cheating on who with a much, much higher rate than just chance, which means there's probably something to this. But interestingly enough, people can never tell when they're getting cheated on themselves.
I forget what the latest, it's been a couple years, I think, since we covered this, but there was some kind of a study that at least claimed to give some numbers in terms of the frequency of cheating and how common it was in American relationships. I don't remember what the numbers were, but we know that more than 50% of marriages end in divorce. Of course, I don't know what percentage of those end in divorce as a result of cheating. Obviously, there's so many reasons, including money is actually a primary driver for divorces and relationships falling apart. But we should revisit what the prevalence of cheating is.
Yeah, that might be interesting. Yeah, we can discuss that. I have never cheated on anyone,
Neither have I.
but I have been cheated on.
Aha.
I have. And that was a recent thing, but I had no idea, and I should have known.
Now, let me ask you this. You had no idea specifically that you were being cheated on, but were you under the impression that the person you were with would never cheat? Or did you think, oh, this is certainly someone who's capable of cheating. I just don't think I'm being cheated on right now.
I thought that it was someone who was not capable of cheating.
Okay. So that's a complete blindsiding then. I mean, not blindsiding in this, just what I mean by that is not only was the specific revelation surprising to you, you thought this was not even something this person would do, period.
I'm right. I thought it was not something they would do. Right.
Yeah.
I thought they were, right. I mean, I understand in lots of relationships when things get, and marriages, when things get really sour, that's a normal thing to happen. And I guess you could still call it cheating then, but that's understandable. But of course, there are, in most other situations, not something I look upon with, look upon highly.
Would you be interested, or maybe interested is not the right word, but would you be open to an arrangement, the type that we often hear about with elected officials, where you have your relationship, which is kind of like your public face and your official relationship? I think you know where I'm going with this.
Yeah, but this is like the House of Cards thing.
There's this kind of understanding, and you don't necessarily, it could be explicit in terms of talking about it or not, with your significant other, that you're allowed to have, call them what you will, affairs or side relationships. It's not necessarily an open relationship, but it's kind of just, I don't know what to call it, but this type of thing.
Yeah, well, that reminds me of, it's like that in House of Cards, right?
Yeah.
I don't know, essentially, this person, you may love them. I mean, you probably do if you married them in the first place.
Yeah.
And maybe you're just a team. Maybe that's what you consider yourselves, a team. And that, and if this extra stuff goes on the side and both parties are aware of it, I don't know. I wouldn't want to be in a relationship like that. But who knows? Maybe you'll find yourself in one, and that'll just be normal for you.
Yeah. I mean, the ways in which people come to be in those types of circumstances very rarely are because that's what they always imagined themselves doing and it's what they desired, right? I mean, I know one guy, I have one friend who knows he wants to be in multiple relationships. He would like to have what he designates as a primary relationship, and he's open to his significant other also doing the exact same thing. This is one person, right? Most people who end up in those scenarios are not because all along that's what they imagined would be the kind of status quo for themselves.
And I feel like people who end up in those positions usually have a job that is just uncommon, like a politician or an athlete or someone in the spotlight for one reason or another.
All right.
Well, I don't know. Then again, it's not something most people talk about, is it?
No.
Anyway, that's it for today. Great bonus show. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
The David Pakman Show at davidpakman.com.